Hi, I'm the fallen angel Christopher Daniels, an inspiration to children everywhere, a national treasure. You're watching Dre Gaming 41. Dre 41 Gaming, my man.
What's up, y'all? It is your boy Drake 41, aka Mr. 4K, aka Drake 41, and welcome to another Let's Talk podcast. I got my co-host here, Ken Washington. What's going on, man?
How's it going? The radio voice himself.
What's going on, y'all?
And we got the special guest on the show today. We got Shaheem Ali, professional wrestler that you may have seen a couple times on the Ring of Honor. You know what I'm saying? And getting his tag team championships. Multiple-time tag team champion, ACPW, KPW, MFPW, DAWG tag team champion. He's been doing his thing. Definitely been doing his thing. But what's going on, man?
Man, I just been blessed. 15 years, I believe it is now. It serves me right. Yeah, man, I just been blessed this whole time, man, just really sticking to it. And every time I, learn and make my mistakes and then learn more, make my mistakes, learn more, I just keep getting better and staying on the course.
I hear that. And you started off in late 2007, real young.
2006.
2006.
Some of the records that are out there are a little bit janky and stuff like that. But yeah, I started in 2006 of I would say August. It would have been the month of August, and I was with a guy who passed away, Rock and Rebel. I'm not going to speak ill on the dead, but let's just say that I learned my lessons very early on with racism. I don't want to start this podcast off a little rough, but
spicy.
Keep it real. I learned about business pretty fast.
Okay, now I can understand that. And you were also, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were trained by Larry Sharp?
Yes, I was. I had a lot of trainers, but I would say to date, one of the greatest trainers that I've had is Larry Sharp.
Okay, and just for the people to know who Larry Sharp has trained, he's trained some big names in professional wrestling: Big Show, D'Lo Brown, Raven, The Godfather, Sanjay Dutt, Sheamus, Bam Bam. The list goes on and on. So you're definitely in a good group of trained athletes.
Oh, absolutely. The historic lineage and alumni is just it's just wonderful to be a part of. I try to preach a lot with my brother Royal Money, who actually is I'm gonna put him over right now. He's the heavyweight champion, current heavyweight champion, and Monster Factory tag team champion. And me and him always talk about just our road since we met Larry, and just how monumental it is to be a part of the Monster Factory and to create our picture and be a part of history and get up on the wall. It's very important because at the Monster Factory, we have a wall of all the alumni and the students who've graduated and, have been pushing the bar and, went somewhere or done a lot in professional wrestling. So it's good to get up on that wall. And I can go on and on. I can go on and on with that.
and are you training there? Like, are you a trainer there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm not a trainer per se, but I do shed light on a lot of things, and I touch on a lot of things to back up the coaches since, you know, I've been wrestling for 15 years, so I can kind of throw my 2 cents in there here and there and trying to just guide more of the students as well, along with my brother Real Money.
I hear that. But another, well, a big question is, how has the past year affected you? How have you know, gotten through that?
Oh, snaps. Well, like I said, I don't want to start all dark and crazy, but 2020 sucked, man. Like I was wrestling up to about February, and that's when I won the first ever. I like to put that over, first ever Larry Sharp Memorial Cup. And since then, like from I want to say February to I want to say January, I barely even remember all of it because, you know, when COVID hit, it took so much out of me, physically, emotionally, mentally, and of course the world. So like, I almost took myself out of wrestling. I almost quit wrestling. I was going through a bunch of stuff. Like at the time I was married. So like, I was going through that, and, you know, see me, I'm an open book. So I'm going to tell you what the deal is. So like, I was going through some stuff with my marriage, and that kind of had me messed up. And then like wrestling, I didn't have wrestling to, you know, keep me grounded or keep me sane, because wrestling is a big deal to me. And I could go into a story with that real quick. Growing up, my mom was the reason why I got into wrestling. So for me, wrestling is always going to be connected to me in a personal level. And I didn't have that to fall back on. So 2020 became this horrible nightmare that never ended until I want to say literally January 1st, 2021. And my life changed around. I started to open up more to being more spiritual. I grew up Christian Baptist, but I've always believed in God no matter what. And yeah, man, I'm more spiritual now. I'm more into just the universe, the energy, the positivity, and just finding a different path of my own to make this year 10 times better, which I have been. And I'm just blessed to be able to not hang up my boots and not think it was over. And to be able to get back out there this year. I've only done a few shows with Monster Factory, and then we started doing our new event or new show called Monster Factory Arena. And I just recently went up to New England All-Stars and killed it up there. Me and Royal Money tagged against Nikos and Robo.
Okay.
And Robo's just been seen not too long ago on AEW. So it's cool to be able to get in the mix of people who's been touching, you know, companies. Royal Money's another person who's actually been up there, and I'm gonna put him over too. I got to, that's my boy. He's also been to AEW as well. So it's also cool to be rolling around and tussling and getting in there and competing with people who've been to a place where I want to go. And I'm sure we'll probably get into that at some point.
Yeah, definitely will. You already touched on it a little bit with your mother introducing you into wrestling.
Yes.
Can you remember those times back when you were younger? Like, what age were you when you were introduced to it?
For me, I want to say 1989.
Oh,
1990. I remember vaguely because I was like super small, and I was born, you know, November 17th, 1985. I'm gonna let y'all know I'm 35 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Me too.
You're welcome.
I ain't old. But yeah, I just remember being able to. My mother she was a single mom at the time. My dad was in jail, you know, and that was his life. But for us, it was just me and my mom against the world. And you know, she busted her behind, you know, working multiple jobs because she had to, you know what I mean? So that's life. And she just sat me down one day in front of the TV, and I just remember Saturday Night Main Event came on, and that changed everything for me. And ever since then, wrestling's been hand in hand, been my best friend, been my lover, been my best friend, been my you know, right hand in anything. I can always count on wrestling. And my mother, you know, God rest her soul, she passed away in 2014. And wrestling is like the one thing that really, other than my kids, really keeps me happy and grounded. And, you know, I'll get on something a little bit later, but I have a family now. I have a wrestling family now, a team. And without my team now and without wrestling, I don't know. I really don't know. And obviously my kids, I wouldn't know how I would handle my life where it's at right now, especially not having my mother. So I'm just thankful for her to have sat me down in front of the TV and paint the picture for me for my future years. So without her even knowing, she probably thought that this was going to be, you know, just something that I liked, and it ended up being like just a calling, I think.
Okay. And what wrestler influenced you, or, you know, one that you watched when you were growing up where you said, you know what, I think I want to do this?
It started with Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, to be honest, because at the time, you know, Macho King was just live, man. He was just so good, and it was like I hated him, but I didn't understand wrestling at that point. I just thought he was the most horrible human being, disrespecting his lady, and I was so trapped into it, I had no idea. But then growing up and going back and watching it again as not just a older fan, but then just an experienced wrestler now, I go back and like, I know why I liked him. I can strip it down and be like, oh, this is why he had me pissed off, or this is why he had me excited, or this is why, I felt a certain way when he would, hit his signature moves or hit his finisher and all that stuff. I understood it looking back, and Macho Man was definitely the start. Then there was Hulk Hogan, basically the guys who really were gaining ground. But I'm going to have to put over probably the most ultimate athlete that I really relate to, and that's Booker T.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because the other day I had a conversation with my brother Royal, and we were watching the A&E. I think it was A&E, but the documentary they did for Booker T, and it was just dope. And I was just like, I'm so glad I know more about Booker T than I have all these years. I mean, I was just happy with what I knew from watching his body of work. Yeah. So being able to go behind the scenes and really get a little glimpse of his life made me not just respect him even more, but made me fall in love with Booker T as one of my favorite wrestlers. He has to be he's number one for me. Oh, he's over top of Macho Man, because especially as a black man, especially as a black man and a black athlete growing up, that's something that I needed to see to let me know that it was okay for someone that looks like me to get up in there. And this is before I got a glimpse of Ron Simmons and stuff like that, because I didn't know anything of that until later. But yeah, man, GI Bro and Harlem Heat really set the tone for me, and I was just like, yeah, I can do that. I definitely know I can do that now. Like Macho Man was like, yeah, I want to do it. But then, like, when I got to see a brother in there, and I was just like, oh, he ain't got to turn down his blackness either.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I could go up in there, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Booker T, man.
Okay. And like, even looking up to Booker T and seeing his body of work, looking at it, what did it make you want to do when you got into the business? Or when you got into the business, did you have a plan set, like, this is what I want to do? Did you base it off of somebody else's career, or were you going based off of what you want to do?
I was going off of what I wanted to do. But at the same time, and if I could take it back, first ever thing I think I knew for sure what I wanted to do as far as like wrestling wise, singles or tag, it was tag team. And the first tag team that I really got a glimpse of before Harlem Heat like really came onto the scene later on was the Rockers.
Oh, okay.
So I was just like, oh, they were, at the time when I got a glimpse of them, they were doing more high risk things, and they were just so flashy, and their colors were so bright and vibrant, and they just had this energy to them, and that it just always, I was like, man, that'd be cool if me and my, especially sitting, when growing up, like when your friends start to watch it with you and you're all like trying to go wrestle around, all that stuff. And I was always like, man, it'd be dope to have a tag team with one of my homies, and we just, get through it and just, get out of school, get into a training spot, train, the whole works. I had that idea. And I actually did start off in tag team wrestling with an old school high school buddy of mine by the name, his name is Rob Taylor. He used to go as Rob Prefontaine, but we both started off at this crappy place with Rock and Rebel, and I remember Ricky Reyes was there, Mercedes Martinez was there, Rick Titus was there. So I remember just getting into work with a few of them, and then starting off as tag team. I was just like, yeah, I want to be a tag team wrestler. Okay. So I've had quite a few in these last few years. So tag team wrestling was really the thing I wanted to do, and I still like doing tag team wrestling because for me, there's a connection there, not just because of the 5 people that are in the ring, including the referee. Yeah. It's just there's this weird, crazy, action-packed chemistry that really needs to be there for, not even just the teams that have to work together, but just the match entirely. If you're bringing it, and you paint this picture, man, it's like, oh, I can't wait to whoop y'all ass again. Or if we lose, it's like, oh, I can't wait to do it again because we're gonna come back with it. You know what I mean? So there's always that energy I feel from tag team wrestling. That I can depend on this guy if I get a little tired, or if we have that position to be able to get a cool ass tag move off, while we're taking control, let's do it. Like, I've always been a team player, so I've always and growing up in sports and things like that, football, basketball, track, I've always been a team player. So
okay. So like bringing tag team into Ring of Honor, how was that for you?
I was actually doing singles at first. I was on the road doing ring crew because I was trying to pay my dues and show the company that I was credible and I was an asset, and I wanted to be an asset for the future, and then eventually be a star. Obviously, it was actually a joke between me and LSG, because at the time we both were getting singles opportunities on the road because we were out there busting our behinds. And one day at the ROH dojo that was in Bristol, Pennsylvania, before they moved to Baltimore, we just worked a lot and just were training together. And one day I was like, yo, they keep pairing us up at random on the roads to take these little matches here and there to just give us some airtime and things like that. And I was like, man, we should just be a tag team. Ha, 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 ha. And then long story short, eventually it became a real thing. And that's kind of like one of the things I love too with wrestling. Like, sometimes when you joke around about stuff, or like, you're trying to be creative, you might actually, come up with some gold. You might find a diamond in the rough with just joking around and discovering, an opportunity, whether it be discovering your persona, or whether it be a move, or a different way you want to go about, your approach in the business period. Like, you never know what you're going to get out of professional wrestling once you're in it. So it's just wonderful, man. So Ring of Honor, sorry, my fault. To harp on that, with the Ring of Honor opportunities, once we really started to kick it, and we worked out some tag moves, but a lot of our learning, to be honest, was on the road. Because he was always training at WrestlePro because he couldn't really make it sometimes to the dojo. So therefore, we would kind of just be texting and going back and forth with ideas. And then, when we did get a chance to work together in the ring, we would try to quickly get into it and, just try to execute the ideas that we had. So therefore, the moment we get on the road that very weekend, we're already well oiled with what we wanted to do rather than, let's just try this shit out. That's one thing you don't do. You don't just try anything out, especially whether you're in independence or, you're in a bigger stage. Don't try nothing out if you're not sure. So we'd always make sure, like, look, man, like, we got to get in at least one of these days and throw these ideas together and see what meshes. And, man, the journey as a tag team was rough at first because we were trying to get to know each other. We knew each other from Monster Factory, but it's different when you become a tag team. Now it's a relationship, I depend on you, you depend on me. So I need your energy and you need to give me yours. So when we work together and we both put our energy out there, there's no way we can be stopped. We're gonna show up and show out. And through time, that's basically what I believe we were trying to accomplish, was just to show the Ring of Honor roster and the viewers watching that, hey, like, we're not fucking around. Like, we buckled down and we're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to become a tag team that is going to be a household name and going to be talked about for a while. And I feel like we started to get that momentum, that buzz. There was just some things that happened. I got into a car accident at one point in 2018, and that kind of derailed a few months for me. And 2019 came, and there were just issues with that, with people, that were, there were some toxic people that were a part of the company at a time that aren't there anymore, that I wasn't, I was clashing with. And man, like, I enjoyed the whole journey with Ring of Honor. We got to wrestle the best. And, from Addiction, Young Bucks, you had Motor City Machine Guns. I even wrestled against, Shane Taylor and I almost said Bully Ray.
Yeah.
And
Jonathan Gresham. You wrestled him.
We wrestled against Shibata's young lions at a time, and like, man, like, there was just so many teams,
Yeah.
I wrestled a Bullet Club. Like, just going back looking at it, I was like, man, we wrestled so many awesome teams, and like, we really hung in there. We really rocked and rolled with the best. And it was like, it's just crazy to me and not to sound bitter, it's just crazy to me to see, to not know, why haven't we ever, I felt like we didn't get all the respect that we deserve in a way, but we can get to that another time.
now teaming
That's a different podcast.
So like, teaming up, I always wanted to ask, wrestlers who were in tag teams, the team name. Who came up with it? Where did it come from? What was the idea?
Right. So Coast to Coast really came about from the tag move. There was a weekend where Ring of Honor did the first ever 6-man to crown the first ever 6-man champions, and we were in the tournament, and we had it was me, LSG, and Jason Kincaid, and it was the most random team, but we were trying to get work in. And at the time, LSG and I were basically still trying to figure out a name. And I always try to come up with tons of different variations of moves and techniques and things like that from the stuff that I learned. So I'm always trying to be in my lab and be in my brain to come up with moves or come up with something that's going to, be effective. And it's simple but effective. So I was like, yo, why don't we just do a triple Coast to Coast? And they both looked at me like, what? I was like, one comes from from the left, one comes from the right, and I run straight down the middle. But we all connect at the same time. And we were like, well, can it be done? I'm like, yes, it can be done. Don't question me. I'm Chocolate Man at the time. I'll get into the Chocolate Man name too later. But it's just don't question me, man. Like, trust me, I got this. Like, we gonna be over. People gonna love it. It's gonna work. And it's funny because when we did the triple coast to coast against I believe it was Rhett Titus, Kenny King, and Caprice Coleman, I believe it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. You might have to go in the record books and looked at that. But yeah, like once we hit the triple coast to coast, we came back through the curtain, and I remember LSG was like, "Yo, that was awesome." I was like, "Yo, I told you, like, we just gotta just keep it moving." And Jason K didn't stay because he had other plans as far as like business wise, career wise. But as far as LSG and I, coast to coast became the name, not because of the move.
Okay.
Which is funny. It was actually because I feel like me and him come from two different backgrounds. So, which we do. And, our families are different. The way we talk, the way we move, the way we operate. And I always felt like Coast to Coast always just represented the black and white, or like, just the cultural difference.
Yeah.
So I always looked at it as our cultural difference from coast to coast, basically, smash it together, and here we are. We're just this one family coming from two different directions. Okay. So coast to coast really became a personal, real thing.
Oh, okay. So, all right, because me looking at it from the outside in, I was like, oh, it's because of the move. That's what I always thought. It was just
yeah. I thought that too. I thought that too at one point, and I'm the one who came up with the damn name. But it was like, like I was saying, like when we were on the road, you learn a lot. So yeah. That's one of the things that we learned from each other was just the differences. And I was just like, man, that's what Coast to Coast really is. It's about us. It's about our backgrounds, about our differences, about our struggles, and how our road came together to form this bond, this group. We both came from the factory, but we both came here as separate wrestlers, but we both now have the same goal of being the best. So it's like, it always still comes back to coast to coast. We're still coming from two different directions, but we still have the same common goal, so it still resonates in a way where it makes sense.
Okay. And here's another question that I like to ask a lot of wrestlers. Do you like to call it professional wrestling or sports entertainment? And is there a difference to you?
At a time when I was listening to my older veterans about the whole sports entertainment talk versus pro wrestling, the difference, it's all the same. It is entertainment. Mm-hmm. It is professional wrestling. It is a sport. So it's all that. But for me personally, it's real. It's very real. It's when I go in there, there's nothing about me that wants to be fake. I can't be fake. You couldn't ask me to be fake if I tried, because you could ask me to act out something, and I would do my best to do it, but you're still going to get the realness part of me that would really respond or react to something in a way, if that makes any sense. But sports entertainment, I get that.
Okay.
Because like I said, it's sport and it's entertainment. It's the live circus, which has always been back to the Carney days. Mm-hmm. It's always been part of that. It's that extra piece to the circus. It's that entertainment factor outside the bearded lady, outside the the leopard skin looking dude, or the crocodile body, whatever. Outside of those crazy circus Carney characters, there was professional wrestling. It was still taken serious back then, as it is today. So it's still a sport and it's still entertainment. It's in another sense, I do try to explain to fans sometimes when they ask me, it's like, you like movies, right? You like TV, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right. A huge big difference is that what you're seeing, you got stuntmen, you got stunt doubles, you got all these people telling them what to do, and it's like, that's not wrestling's not like that. Wrestling's a whole nother layer of things. As much as the business has been exposed, but it's still deeper than what still
Yeah.
And it's really hard to dig deep in, because I can go in and in on it, and like a revolving door, but still it would be important about what I said. But sports and entertainment, pro wrestling, it's all the same. Pro wrestling, to me, if I really want to split them apart, pro wrestling is the technique. It's the I think pro wrestling, I think technical wrestlers, I think strong style. Sports entertainment, I feel more theatrical. It's a little bit larger than life, like the Macho Man era. Even now, I mean, you still have personas, you still have personalities that are larger than life, which is still them, but that is the more, WWE's more sports entertainment. And I understand that. Whereas New Japan, I don't see that as sports entertainment. I see that as pro wrestling, because it's more, it's more competitive. It's taken as a competition. Whereas professional wrestling, sports entertainment, WWE type wrestling, it's different, because it is competing, but it's competing with an extra layer of the story. And don't get me wrong, because obviously the other companies do have their stories. They still have all that, but the feel is different.
Yeah,
it's different. So. And maybe I don't know. And speaking on my behalf, I could be wrong for my opinion, but I don't think
it's opinion.
My perspective. So I look at it the way I look at it. I have both respects on both ways of how you want to go about it or speak about it. I love it all, so it don't matter. Overall,
well, I mean, it's all an opinion based. The internet loves their opinion, so we always gotta ask.
Oh yeah.
But switching gears a bit, because this is a podcast where we talk about wrestling and games. Did you play any wrestling games? When you were younger? Now?
Okay. At least any that were on the WrestleMania that was on Nintendo. What was it? The arcade, WrestleMania arcade. The one, what was it? The WrestleFest.
Oh, okay.
Especially, I would always go to the arcade with them quarters. Like, I was always trying to see Hulk Hogan hit that fucking calendar. So, like, one part that would piss me off too, still to this day, now I'm thinking about it, that gets me tight as hell, is the damn, anytime I would whoop some behind in the matches, the tag matches, the singles matches, it was always the Rumble that I would get tossed on. I'm like, what? Get out of here. Either be Boss Man. It always came down to either Boss Man or the Warrior. And I don't know why, but still to this day, I still got problems with them too.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I played a good portion of all the wrestling games. The latest was trash, which was the 2020.
Oh.
2K, trash. It was trash. It pissed me off. The first time I've ever got pissed off in a long time about a wrestling game, because it was like, yo, y'all been good for a long time, and it's like, what happened?
At least you got yours to work. Mine still doesn't work on my system.
Like, my old PlayStation system broke because I think it got like a virus or something like that. It got VD from the damn game or something. Like, I'm like, what? What happened? Messed up and crinkling. It was like had that old grandma elbow shape. You know what I'm talking about? That little church arm. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm like, what's going on with my game? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I just don't re-download. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to play games. I'm not even going to do that. I'm not even going to do it. So I'll go back and play, 2K18 or 2K19 or whatever, because at least I know it works.
Kind of.
Thank you. You know what? I feel the same way. I
don't care. Look. If the 2K people want to come at me, they can come at me. It's trash. Y'all know it's trash. That's why y'all kept trying to put discounts on the bullshit. Like, don't play with me. Like, I'll get tight real quick with video games, especially wrestling games. Like, come on. You can't mess the wrestling game up. You can't do it.
It's bad when you can't sell a wrestling game and it's on sale.
games right now.
Yeah.
Y'all know best sports games right now. EA is what? They lost. EA lost a long time ago when they started coming out with that bum behind Star Wars. When they messed up Star Wars, that was it. I was like, EA, y'all done. Don't come out with live either, because that was trash too.
Yeah. Madden. I stopped buying Madden years ago. Yeah,
Madden pissed me off. Madden pissed me off too. I can go back to 2K16 was probably last. Oh no, yeah, was it 2K16 maybe
what?
or Madden? I'm thinking basketball. Madden.
Probably 07, maybe 08.
Yeah, that's probably the last time.
Copy and paste. That's all
That's
they were doing
what was
after
really
that.
good. Because then after that, they just started adding extra controls, and they kept switching the controls every year. Then they would add something else. I'm like, could y'all just update the damn roster and just give us a better, like, creative player storyline for the players?
Right?
That's really it.
But to keep on the same note, now you're going to be a character in a video game because you're going to be in the wrestling code. You were like one of the first characters showcased. Yeah. So how do you feel about that? And how did that situation all come into play?
It's funny, man. Like wrestling, like that's why I love wrestling, man. Professional wrestling is it's such a just a pathway to connections, and I was fortunate to not work on the road at one of the honor events, and I got a chance to meet one of the young guys who is part of making this game from Virtual Basement. This guy named Ashton, and you know Ash, and he's a good guy. And I approached him, and we were just talking about wrestling. I wasn't working the Ring of Honor event like I was talking about. I forget which one it was. He'll probably remember. My memory always just goes. We just were talking, just spitballing, just talking about just everything and anything from wrestling to life, you know, you name it. And me giving him that time to express himself and just have a general conversation. And also, I don't even think he knew who I was at the time, that I was actually a Ring of Honor wrestler, because I wasn't really on their radar super big. I had shows. I was out there. I was, you know, doing the coast to coast thing, but we weren't fully established yet. So it was kind of like, oh, I think I seen you wrestle earlier tonight. But it was kind of like, that. Yeah, I think I seen you wrestle earlier, but I don't know your name. So it was kind of like, it was cool. So I was like, I get it. So that's how I'm going to introduce you to who I am. And we just were vibing, and we became friends. We exchanged, you know, information. And then ever since then, we've just been real cool. So we would always check up with each other every couple, you know, months or whatever like that, because we get busy and all that. Yeah. And we really started, he mentioned that he always wanted to put his, you know, talents towards video games, but he was doing other things in the video game world. And like at the time, I didn't really believe him until he showed me. I was like, oh yeah, you play video games. Like, yeah, you play games, like whatever. Because people gas you up all the time in wrestling and in life. So I was like, you never know when someone's telling the truth until they really show you proof. And once he showed me the proof, I was like, oh word, you really do. You do the damn thing when it comes to making games. So I was like, all right, bet. We'll definitely be in touch with that too. And he mentioned that he wanted to make a wrestling game. And I said, just do it. Don't worry about it. Just make a plan, do it. And then I remember he hit me up like a couple months later. He's like, yo, like, I'm doing it. I was like, all right, bet. Like, let me know. I'll be involved. I'll give you whatever information you need about professional wrestling. Like, whatever it is that you want to know as far as what you want to do with your game, just let me know. And I had no idea that he had other connections at the time. It was just about, you know, me and him just going back and forth with ideas. And then, you know, LSG got in the mix of throwing his ideas around. And eventually, I believe he started to reach out to, you know, some names. And then they started to catch on. And then it was like wildfire after a while. And then, you know, he just started doing the scans. And once he started doing the scans, and I was one of them, me and LSG were the first two. And from there, it's just been a wonderful journey, even though with COVID having to halt production and all that other stuff, I feel like either way, being a part of the game is historic. It's iconic almost, because I'm going to live forever in a sense. So I look at it from that.
You don't have to create yourself for a change.
I feel like the game is going to come out. However it comes out, they're going to do their best to make it. And I don't personally ever expect the first thing to ever be when it comes out, especially if it's going to be new, hitting the platforms and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to be like, yo, it's the best game. It's going to be the best game ever. No, I know that this is the first time they're doing this. So I expect for there to be some things for them to fix. Yeah. So I'm going into it as I'm just excited to be a part of this game. I know they're going to kill it when they make it. And I'm just going to be excited to see the progression after it drops. That's really where it's going to be exciting, where the progression, the updates, and all that stuff, because they're going to see how it actually operates on every platform. It's to be an excellent executed game that needs to be out there. It's going to be better than 2K20.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They listen to the community. That's the like. So they know what we're looking for, and it's like
I'm really big on like the creative player stuff, the storylines, and create a story. I feel like it needs to get more real. Take like what Cyberpunk did. They took 3 different backgrounds, and you'd have to from a different way, you know. And I feel like it should be something like that, where they give you like some different people's backgrounds. You know, you got the rich, you got the born better type people, and then you got middle class. You know, and then you have the person who's super broken, struggling, and comes from nothing. You know, and then like I had ideas where you would do different things. Where like if you came from the gutter, you would have to wrestle wrestle backyard, like in the street. You know what I mean? And you go from the street to like the backyard, from the backyard to an indie show, the indie show to get an opportunity, and then you get onto the actual program of what the wrestle code is, and then like you got the middle class, which they would only do the backyard, not backyard, but they would do like more independent show type stuff, and they would go from a low level to so on and so forth. But the path would be different because maybe there's a part where they hit rock bottom, you know. Because that does happen in wrestling. So it's like I want to implement stories of things that I've seen and things that I've heard, even my own, input of what I've gone through. Because like I said, wrestling brings so much. There's just so much to wrestling, and then you got the people. The people themselves are just weird, wild, and deranged, and we're just a bunch of like. I call it a dysfunctional family because there's just different flavors, different cultures meshed together, and everyone's psyche is different. You got some people who are really crazy that are in wrestling. Then you got people who are just probably the funniest people who should be comedians. And then you got people who are so talented outside of wrestling with other things, whether it be accounting to like, I've met somebody that was like a cybernet, like not hacker, but like they work for supposedly the government. And then there's people I know who are becoming cops. And then there's people like this. So it's like wrestling is so awesome because there's so much that wrestling brings together and exposes in good ways and bad ways. Yeah. And then with this video game, it's cool to see a lot of the independent people get a shot.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a lot of people on that roster that I know or have wrestled in a ring with and shared a locker room with. And there's still people that I know. I'm still trying to, nudge Ashton a little bit like, hey, put this guy in or put this girl in. Like, they're good too. Like, even if it's like a download list, download content, because if you're putting on people, and giving them that shine, that's really important. Not just for their livelihood and their career path. It's just a feel good thing to do, like
because think about it. Like, let's say the game sells 1 million copies. That's 1 million new people who get to know who you are.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's
about the exposure.
Yes, and that helps. Like I see it as it's like not only getting the big stars. You know what I'm saying? Just for because it's a big game. And like, as a wrestling fan and as a guy who plays wrestling video games, that's a big look. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, we get the same wrestling game every year from 2K with a little bit of a roster update, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like, we got options now and different wrestlers to have in the game. So it's really cool to see Virtual Basement really start, grabbing all, the independent guys, the guys in the bottom, guys in the middle, the guys who are at the top, and having all mismatched in one game. That's something that the community been wanting for years.
It's a fantasy wrestling. It's the fantasy dream match type thing. And it's like, I don't understand why professional wrestling doesn't try to please that part for the fans. It's about the fans at the end of the day. Because without the fans, I mean, it's going to look like how it was when they started coming back with COVID. It's just, there's nobody there, and it's just, you're just wrestling for yourselves, and it's like, it's a little awkward, but it's not at the same time, but it's still a little awkward. It's like, damn. I kind of do like the crowd being here. Like, we are in here fighting me. Oh, that's right. It's my job to whoop your ass. That's right. But it's exciting, man. It really need. I feel like this game is going to excite the world just based off of how many people are in the game and in the dream matches. People are going to be recording it, twitching it, doing all that stuff.
I'm gonna do it.
It's gonna be something, man. I can't wait to see how the mocap is going to turn out. I'm excited for when it's my turn. I told Ashton, I was like, look, man, like, I'll go last. I don't care. Like, I'm hell. I'm in the game, so regardless, I live forever. So I'll go last. That's just how I'm looking at it. I'm like, I live forever. That's just crazy. If God forbid I pass away tomorrow, my kids will have me forever in the video game to play. So it's like, that shit is cool. Like, when I really look at it on a deeper level.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I thank you, man, for the time that you gave us today. I definitely appreciate it. I know you're a busy man. You got things to do. So I'm not going to hold you up too much longer, man. But thank you very much. Also, let the people know where they can find you on social media.
All right. Well, Facebook, Shaheem Ali. Instagram and Twitter, Shaheem Ali 85, SHAHEEM ALI 85. My Instagram isn't private anymore, so y'all can add me. I might not add you only because I don't know you. So if you want to send me a DM, don't be weird. I like to talk to the fans. I like to talk to people all the time about anything. So yeah, catch me on Instagram or Twitter, mainly Instagram. I mean, I'm on Snapchat, but I'll be doing weird stuff sometimes. I'll be doing cartwheels in my ear with donuts in my mouth. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm weird like that. I just have fun. I'm a big kid, man. I really enjoy life. And yeah, hit me up.
All right. Well, I'll also have that in the link in the description below. But other than that, man, thank you very much. And you have a good one. I appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. I'll be back, man. I got stories for days.
Oh, listen, we could set that up.
I talk trash all the time. If we was going to mention Call of Duty, this would have had to be a whole entire different episode.
Well, thank you, man. You have a good one, man. Stay safe.
Yes, sir.
All right. Later.
Yes, sir.